Oh my goodness.
Am I on?
I'm gonna see.
I think I'm on. I love it. Okay. Hi, hi, hi. So this is the most awkward part of live videos because I'm supposed to get on here and like, wait a minute, see if anybody's gonna watch, all that good stuff. So, hello, land of Facebook. Hey, Michelle, I saw her jump on. I have not brought the world of Facebook into my office very often, so it's kind of fun to be in here in front of all my things that will hopefully not distract me while I'm talking to you guys. So, okay, so it is market update time, annual market update. So I've been thinking a lot about this. I've been thinking a lot about this video and this presentation and the things that I wanted to talk about and whatnot. And there's a lot of projections that happen. And, you know, last year there was the, you know, prediction that interest rates were going to come down a couple of times. And what's the market going to look like? And, you know, we look at the past data and then with what we think is going to happen in the future and all that kind of stuff. I really want to take this opportunity to kind of look at not just last year, but a little bit of a sort of broadcast from 2020 to present, because there's a lot of really interesting things being said about the market right now. And here's the one thing I'm not going to do. I am not going to make projections. I'm not going to tell you that the Fed is predicting interest rate drops or anything. Like, I'm not going to tell you, because where we thought we would be today a year ago is not where we are. No one knows. No one knows. That's really the biggest thing that we need to know, is no one knows. It was kind of funny as I was preparing for this. I took a little social media break and I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw someone posted something like, you know, interest rates in 1972 were 7.75 or something like that. If I had waited for interest rates to drop at that time, it would have been 1993 before I purchased a home. So one thing I do want to go on record saying is interest rates should not be the determining factor of whether or not you are purchasing real estate. Real estate is more often than not a pretty safe investment. If you look at it over the length and span of time, it is almost always an appreciating asset. And at the end of the day, if you're not owning, if you don't own what you are living in, then you are probably paying someone else's rent, whether that's a corporation that owns your apartment complex or the landlord's mortgage that the house that you're living in. So do not let interest rates be the predictor of whether or not you're going to make a home purchase. So what I want to talk about is average sales price. And I'm going to look at this probably mostly from a Tarrant County perspective, because that's where we work the most. But I do want to point out some things about the rest of the Metroplex as well. So the average sales price in Tarrant County in 2024, drum roll please, was $443,000. Okay, so $443,000 was the average sales price. Let's look at a couple of different data points. Number one, in 2023, it was 432. So we increased about 2.5%. So the reason I want to point that out is because there was a lot of like, oh, prices are dropping, prices are dropping. The average price, now, if you tell me that your neighbor's house sold for $10,000 less a year later, like, I'm not saying that's not happening. The average sales price across Tarrant County has increased by 2.5%. That's going to depend on neighborhood. It's going to depend on location. It's going to depend on condition. It's going to depend on so many different things, but the average price point has increased 2.5%. Now, from 2022 to 2023, it stayed stagnant. It stayed even. There was no increase or decrease. It literally was 433 in 2022 and 432 in 2023. Like, that $1,000 doesn't even count when we're talking about, you know, $500,000 almost. Okay. Now here's the other thing. Let's go back to 2020 and 2021. In 2020, the average sales price in Tarrant County was $313,000. In 2024, we're talking about 4 years later, it is $443,000. That is $130,000 that it increased from 2020 to 2024. It's like a 35% increase or something. I didn't do that math, so don't laugh at me if that percentage is off. But the increase in value from 2020 to 2024 is unbelievable, okay? Home prices have appreciated on average historically between 3 and 5% a year. That's what you expect. 3 to 5% is what we're looking for. So from 2020 to 2024 to have gone 35% is kind of crazy. But the good news is now that we are seeing the home prices are still appreciating, they're just doing it at a much lower rate. So the fact that we did it at 2.5% this year, that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me that that percentage was lower than historically normal, because we had 2 years in a row, actually probably 3 or 4 years if we went all the way back to 2018, which I did not do today. We had such historically high increases that to back off to 2.5%, that doesn't bother me. I don't think the market is crashing. I don't think prices are about to just do a big, huge dip. I think that they're going to continue to appreciate at that normal 3-ish% rate. So if you live in Collin County or know someone in Collin County or see prices in Collin County, this is a place where people might say, ooh, prices are dropping. So I want to point out some data here. The average price point in Collin County in 2024 was $575,000. 575. Yes, you heard me correctly. In 2022, at its peak, it was 605. So could we say that we've had a decrease? Absolutely. $25,000. It's dropped about 5% from 2022 to 2024. But let's go back to 2020. The average sales price in Collin County was $409. So in 2020 it was $409. In 2024 it is $575. In 4 years we have still had a 41% increase in home values. Okay, so if anybody's looking at Collin County going, oh my gosh, prices are dropping. Okay, if you bought in 2022 at the peak, it might take you a minute to get back to the value that you purchased at. However, it is going to happen because we are going to start to see that increase again, I believe. So anyway, that's a prediction. I said I wasn't going to make predictions, but it is what it is. Okay, so there is my opinion on home values. I believe home values are going to continue to appreciate, just at a much slower rate than what they were doing from like 19, 20, 21. The number of closed sales is a really interesting statistic that I would like to talk to you about. First, in 2020, we had 91,000 closed transactions over the whole Metroplex. That's all the counties: Tarrant, Johnson, Ellis, Dallas, Collin, Denton. Okay, all the counties. We had 91,000, almost 92,000 actually closed sales. In 2024, we only had 73,000. Okay, so from 2020 to 2024, we're closing about 20% fewer transactions than we were in 2020. And we have more inventory, okay? We have more inventory in 2024 than we had in 2020, but we're closing fewer transactions. So what does that mean? That means that there's more to choose from. That means that if you want to sell your home, you probably can't just throw a sign in the yard after you have the cleaners come. You're going to have to do some decluttering. You're going to have to maybe paint some walls. You're going to have to make sure that your landscaping is kept up. In 2019, 2020, 2021, I mean, you could like not even take out the trash, not really do much, and put a sign in your yard, and you probably were going to get a buyer, right? People weren't looking that closely. They needed homes. We had no inventory and a ton of buyers at low interest rates, right? So now, if you're going to sell your home, it's not a bad time to do it. This is what I need you to hear me say. It is not a bad time to sell. It is still a great time to sell. There are many buyers in the marketplace. We are seeing a ton of activity right now, but you have to keep your home show ready. That's just the reality of what it is. I have had a couple of listings that have gone under contract within the first few days of being on the market. and I've had some that have sat, and usually the difference is you've either got a really unique property that has a much smaller buyer pool. If I'm selling acreage at a high price, that's going to take longer to sell. There's not as many people looking for it. But if I have a gorgeous house in a desirable area and it's priced right, it's probably going to move pretty quickly. So do you have to go in and do kitchen remodels and all kinds of crazy stuff? No, but do you have to make sure that your house is ready for market? Absolutely. Okay, so lower inventory, but fewer sales. So that's going to lead me to days on market. This is, I think, interesting because everybody is saying that like, oh my gosh, it's taking so long for houses to sell. Well, to prove the point I just was making about your house being show ready, in 2024, the average days on market was 45 days. I keep referring back to 2020 because it was one of the years where we had a ton of activity. Days on market was 39 days. So 6 days to increase as an average is not huge. Now I will say in 2022 2020 at the peak, days on market was average 20. So that is much less than 45. It's about half, but still 45 days, y'all, that's a month and a half. Okay, we're seeing homes that are sitting 3, 4, 5, 6 months or longer. So if you think about the average still being 45, that means that we still have a ton of homes that are selling really quickly. Okay, that's in Tarrant County, by the way. Let me, over the entire Metroplex, that number of days is 54. In Johnson County, Ellis County, those are a little bit further outside of the Metroplex, so they tend to move a little bit slower just because of their location. Those are at 74 and 73, but still, that's barely more than 2 months, right? And then we've got 41, 46, 47 in Dallas, Collin, and Denton County. Okay, so like I said at the very beginning of this, I thought a long time about how I was going to handle this annual market update, what kind of information I wanted to present. And really, I kind of landed on, let's go short and sweet. Let's touch a couple of different pieces of data. Let's not just go back to 2023, like how's it changed in 1 year, but let's look at all the way back to 2020 and see what those implications are. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of going simple data, putting it out there. And like I said, I'm not going to make any predictions or crazy things about, I don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. Nobody knows what's going to happen with interest rates. But I believe that we will see home prices continue to appreciate at the very normal rate of 2 to 5%. And I think that we will see more transactions happen this year than we saw happen in 2024. And I think that the other piece of information I said earlier that I want to reiterate, do not let interest rates be the determining factor of whether or not you're going to buy or sell. Because if we're waiting for interest rates, because here's the thing, everyone in 2023 that said, I'm going to wait for interest rates to drop, well, the average price did go up. It didn't go up a ton. It only went up 2.5%, but it did go up, right? So every year that you wait, or every month or 2 months or 3 months that you wait to do something because you want interest rates to get lower, home prices are appreciating. So as your interest rates get lower, but your home price appreciates, you're still paying the same payment for the same thing, but now you have less equity because you had to buy it at a higher price. So that's my opinion. And I think that annual market update was probably the shortest one I've ever done. I'm looking, I've got Marie sitting in here with me listening to everything I'm saying, and I'm like, I think she's like, really, are you already done? Because I tend to talk a lot. So if anybody has questions about this data, if you have, if you're looking at it going, okay, well, I bought in 2020, did my house really appreciate as much as she's saying it may have? And I did say it depends on neighborhood, location, condition, all those different things. But if you want to know, that's what we do here. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I would be more than happy to share my thoughts on your value, what's happening in your neighborhood specifically. It's hard to go from, Tarrant County is huge, as is the Metroplex. And so we're looking at big chunky data. If you would like me to look at something more specific with you, I would love the opportunity to do that. Also, if you're curious about you know, what you can get for your money. And if you are interested in potentially making a move, like I said, don't let interest rates be the reason you don't. Please reach out to us. We would love an opportunity to talk with you about what that process looks like. So I hope everyone is having a fantastic Wednesday. It is hump day, middle of the week, middle of the day. So it's all uphill from here because you are getting closer and closer to the weekend every minute that goes by. Hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for watching, and we will catch up with you soon.